Hey ho guys, this is Chip and Guardian from Chip and Guardian's Adventures and from Mystery Angels. Okay, so I'm going to do a series now because it's getting close. There's an arrest coming. So we're going to do a series of videos of who we think and how much percentage do we think this person has a chance and what. So we're going to do the person's name, the percentage of do we think that is a person of interest or is actually could be the person who's part of Summer's disappearance or is the person who made Summer disappear, the reasoning why, the thought process behind it, and we're going to do series on that. So we're going to start with Don, right? So let me do that. So Don is the father of Summer. I think he's 88% guilty. Right? This is why I say 8% guilty, right? The things of interest is the swing, the back door, the canoe, and the shed. And I'll explain all that in a minute, right? So people in his life that could be a part of it or have something to do with it, of the missing, is Jose. Now, I know everyone's saying, oh, it's been 7 months, but I'll explain why I think it could be Jose. Hunter, Alison, Candice's mother, which is his mother-in-law, the church, animals and woods, right? This is what's important to Don. This is what's important to Don, right? So, the shed. He is adamant he was there at 5:30 p.m. and I'll explain why I think he thinks that. It's always about I or me. It's always about religion. Right? He's an abuser. Hold on. Right, he's an abuser of historical. Just 1 minute, guys. This thing's driving me nuts. Right, stay propped up. He's an abuser historically, and he's a drug user and an alcohol. He uses alcohol. He keeps using the word kidnapping. He's a manipulator. He's always hinting. And he's saying things like neighbour, I'm always a breadwinner. So all these things like neighbour, property, abandoned, dwelling. The most important things is dog trail, and blames everything on the devil. It's not his fault. Nothing to do with him. It's the devil. Everything he does is the devil. So this is why I think it's 88% more Don. Okay, so let's go with the first thing, right? The first thing is the time. Now, everyone thought that Don's time thing was a slip, a Freudian slip. But I've been looking on Emma Kenny's, when she talks about serial killers and murderers and stuff like that. And she says unconsciously sometimes they can't help it, but their unconsciousness comes out with the truth. Because there's too many lies and the brain is too distressed, it flicks through truth. And sometimes you can pick it up and sometimes you can't. But he's adamant it was 5:30. But we all know different because of the phone calls are calculated via the 999 calls. Sorry, we're not in the UK. The 911 calls, right? Not only that, but when Don turned up, he said he turned up at 5:30 p.m. Before the police. Now, the cops turned up and Don had to ID himself to the police officer that was down at the bottom by the gate for them to let him through. But he's adamant that didn't happen. But the police officers have obviously got evidence because they all got to wear them body cams, ain't they? Especially for something like this, right? So we know that, and Don is now losing it. He's becoming more delusional. So the reason why I think he's 88, and then I'll explain why. The thing he's 88% is because he's starting to lose it. And I think if someone's done an accidental thing, or something, and they can't cope with what they've done, emotionally and that, what they do is they separate it. It couldn't have been me. It had to be a different persona. It had to be the devil in me. It had to be Satan in me. I didn't do it. It wasn't me. I was taken over. So he's trying to convince people now. Remember, he's a master manipulator. So he's trying to convince people now that he's what you call a religious nut, right? Someone who isn't really religious, but makes out to be so religious that they've gone nuts. So if he does get caught, his defence will be, well, look at all he's done throughout the case. He's obviously not a well person in his mind. So he gets either sentenced to a lower sentence, or he gets put into a mental institution, a hospital, rather than in prison. Because in prison, he knows baby killers and baby rapists aren't very liked in there. Right? So if it was an accident, this is the behaviour he would try to do to convince people he's not. Right? Or to convince people, I've been overtaken. So when psychiatrists and people like FBI specialists and stuff start talking to him, look how many people these people release saying yes, they're okay to go back into public, they're not a danger anymore, and then they go on killing. So this is what he's probably done. Okay? So why I think is because he's pushing the idea of 3 different things. So he says Summer loves him. He's the only one that loves him. Nobody else loves him. Not even his wife. Just God and Summer. That's it. He's lost without Summer. He can't function properly. And then he goes on, I'm being attacked. It's all about him again, right? But if you listen carefully, he calls Summer a young lady. Now, when abusers can't face that they're babies, in their minds, they make them into young ladies. So it makes it better for him to do something, right? How do I know that? Am I an expert? Yes, I am. For many, many years of being abused myself and knowing a lot of different types of abuse. So yes, I am. I'm not an expert in books. I'm an expert in the practice side of it all. Right? Of being a survivor. For many, many years. So, people want facts. There's your facts. Okay? So, for some reason, Don won't let no one near his shed. So, I was looking, and in America, sometimes they have, there's 3 things. So sometimes there's a storm shed where if there's, like Wizard of Oz, where they go under and be protected, they go right under there. And it could be a World War II bunker that he's built on top of his shed. It could be a... It could be a... he could have made it where he's dug a hole and made it into, so you know, like doomsday stuff, because some people in America build something under, like a bunker or something, in case of doomsday and stuff like that, where it's like a shelter and it looks like a shed and everything, but actually you go down. So this is the shed, his shed, that nobody's allowed near, nobody's allowed. So apparently, according to Don and the police, when Don came, instead of going straight up his drive, he went past his drive at first. This is why he had to ID himself. He went past his drive and went straight to where the boys was hanging around the shed. And he said to the boys, get away from the shed and go up to the house. Then turned around and drove back. So why did he want to make sure who was by his shed? So they're saying, well, I don't want people to see my tools. And yet they're taking photographs of him cutting the grass with his sitting lawnmower and stuff like that. And who's going to steal tools, right? And if he's poor, as he's portraying to pretend to be, then he wouldn't have much tools. But he won't let him near the shed. Right. The second reason, the most important, is this is his childhood home. So now Don's in his 60s. Although technically things haven't changed to the naked eye, to Don it would have. So certain areas where people used to walk when he was a kid no longer walks there. So although there's walkways, it would be covered. You know, like when you get a photograph of your area from, like, say 50 years ago, and it's totally different. Although it looks the same, everything's totally different. Like where paths were overgrown or gardens are built on it or something like that. Right? So he would know areas where someone who's just moved in wouldn't know, or someone who's been there a few years wouldn't even walk. Because it's so dense, you would have to be a kid in there doing things like going on adventures, camping. And in Don's days when he was growing up, they were allowed to go out in the morning and not come back till night, so they could build camp whatever they wanted. So this is why I think he's a high 88%. Right? He keeps talking about kidnapping and pushing this idea of kidnapping. And even when the police say there's no chance it could happen, he's adamant it's happened. And it's because it makes the only sense. If he says anything else, he can't say anything else. What could he say? Kidnapping's the only thing he could say that would make some kind of sense, that will put doubt in someone's mind. He's a manipulator, remember, an abuser. The reason why he's attacking everybody that's against him, and he's saying, I used to have the devil inside me, he used to take the devil. He's always blaming the devil. Now, the red car is now ruled out. The red van. Right? But he said he sacked a worker a couple of days before. And he made it very clear. He sacked a worker because he was on this drug called Crocodile. Now, why would Don sack somebody at work for drugs when his wife, according to him, can function as an alcoholic and someone who takes pills and drugs? So he's a double standard there. So if that's real and he did sack a worker for being on a drug called Crocodile, then why would he leave his children with a woman that not only drinks but is addicted to certain pills and weed? What's he saying? That in the workplace you can't do, you can be a mother, you can look after children and animals, you can be anything like that, but you can't build when you're on drugs, but yet you can take charge of someone's life. So that doesn't make sense. And he said it could have been the worker. So that made me think, what if there's an answer in all this? like a code, a cryptic code. Right? So then he goes on about the neighbour and the other neighbour that has an abandoned property. But this neighbour with abandoned property has a lot of deep wells and sheds. A lot of them. Right? If Don was smart enough and he was truthful, he would have, this is the way the path would have gone. He would have said, I think well, he wouldn't have said anything, to be fair. He would just let the police talk for him or a professional talk for him. But instead, he's opening his gob. So here's the thing. He keeps pushing this kidnapping constantly. When yet, it's more likely she's ran off, either tired, through burden, or something like that. She's ran off and fell down somewhere, would be more likely. Number two, there's animals in the woods. And I don't mean fluffy, like little tarantulas or anything fluffy and cute and stuff like that. What I mean is deadly snakes, the copperhead, the cottonmouth. Deadly snakes. There's black bears in them woods. So if he thinks she went out to the swing, right, then, because Candy's told him that, if she went out to the swing, he says that someone was lying in wait and kidnapped her. But it would make more sense if he said, well, she could have ran in the woods and an animal could have got her. Like a bear, or she could have ran into the woods, got bit, she had no shoes on, she could have stepped on a snake, been bit. She's 5 years old, guys. She's not going to understand. She understands the fear of snakes and bears because the mum's frightened her into keeping that, right? So it doesn't make sense that he would say someone kidnapped when it's harder to kidnap someone in that area than it is to fall against the prey, against a wild animal in there, or be bit by a snake and go down. Do you see what I'm saying? But he's adamant on the most hardest thing, the most complex thing, which is kidnapping. The most rarest thing is a planned kidnapping, and he sticks to that. And even when the police says, look, it doesn't look like that, or there's something not right here, he doesn't go, well, there's another possibility. She could have got frightened. My wife could have shouted at her. The boys could have pissed her off. She's ran into the woods thinking, sod you then, I'm going to run away. Remember, if she's not seen H, if it's the truth, and she's not seen H or Alison for ages, and her favourite person's a school teacher, there was nothing stopping her losing her temper and the baby running off to try and go to one of their houses. Maybe she wanted to go back to H's house. Maybe she turned around and says, Mummy, can H come up and play? And she's gone, no. You know, and got her angry. And said, I want to go up to H's house. You know, it could be, because they haven't seen each other for ages, maybe Summer wanted to see H again and that, because, you know, and it pissed Candy off completely, and Candy got angry. But that's Candy's one. We're talking about Don here, right? Another thing is, Don, when you see pictures of Candy and the baby together, Summer, you see them with the same black eyes, where they've been smacked and beaten. If you look at my other ones, you'll see I've pointed out the bruises and the faces of both Candice and the baby. So what if Don's lost it, he's come home from work, seen Summer with a black eye or a face bright red or bruises on, and gone, where you got them from? Mummy hit me. And he's gone and beat Candice up the same way as she beaten. Now, before you say anything, don't come for me. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. for him to do that. But I'm just saying, because he seems to be attached to Summer more than any of his kids, what if Candice loses her temper, which everyone knows she does, or her mother? Because a lot of people are saying Grandma loses her temper and is miserable. And then Don's come back, seen the state of it, and attacked them. Right? So, everyone's saying, oh, let's keep out Jose. It won't be his kids, his other kids, or his ex-wife. But what if... Don't forget, Don's got a daughter, but Candice has got 2 daughters. So what if the daughter, who we don't hear, is jealous of Summer because the dad sees Summer? So that's why I only say 88% and not 100%. That he had something to do with the disappearance. And I mean something. I'm not saying he had to do with the disappearance. I reckon something. He's done something or reacted some way for Summer to go missing. Right? Whether Candice was too frightened to tell him that it was an accident, that she passed away, or they gave her too much painkillers or sedation or something like that, because they were knackered, but Summer kept having too much energy and they just wanted her to sleep. So they gave her what they call candy, maybe was a drug, to make her sleep, and then sent her downstairs to go to sleep and overdosed her. But we'll talk more about that on Candice one. And Don's come back, and Candice has been too scared to tell Don, because Don's reaction would be, every time he's come back and someone's hit someone, someone's been bruised, he's hit them. Right? So that's what we've got to think about, yeah. So it's more than likely, if it was Don, right, why would he hurt Summer? Well, Don's saying he can't live without Summer. Summer's the only one in his life that shows him love. He really loves Summer. She's a young lady, a beautiful princess. Right? So if he is abusing her in any way, physically, mentally, or emotionally, in any way, there's one people that stands in his way with Summer. CPS. Don knows that his way of life is bad for the kids. He knows it. And so does his wife, Candice. And so does Candice's mother. Right? So they knew CPS was coming up that day, or the day after. We're not quite sure which day. Was it the 15th, 16th? But they were coming up that day. They had to clean up the house. They had to clean up their act. They had to fix some things before they turned up. Candice would not speak to them. See, in this country, if social services tried to gain access to see the kids and the parents kept refusing, then social services can use the police and Section 47 and remove the children to do interviews and stuff. But I don't know about Americans' country. So the reason why Don would hide Summer would be because of CPS. Now, he knows how to hide from authorities because he's done it most of his life. Right? This is what Chris was saying on the interview room. Okay? So, depending on how long he's known CPS was coming that day, he could have built a temporary dugout shelter in his shed. And that's why he doesn't want no one going in case someone walks across it, bangs it. And so let's say this did happen. Let's say CPS was coming, right? Don can't live without Summer and that. So let's spend some time with Summer. Let's take Summer out. Let's get Summer away from the boys. So if CPS turns up that day, they won't be allowed in. The chain will be locked. The boys were locked in the house, weren't allowed in or out. And on top of that, Candice's mum and that was out. So there was no way the CPS could get in, right? And if they believed that Candice wasn't there and the boys weren't there and that, they wouldn't approach the property with all them dogs on, right? So that's why we think... Right, so, sorry about that interruption. Right, so, Don has enablers. So who's his enablers? His wife is one of them, and the church. Right, but Don has to prove, in case he's found guilty, Don has to prove, I'm nuts, I'm crazy, I'm a lunatic, don't send me to prison, it's not my fault, I was taken over. And because if you see in every American court, it says, in God we trust, right? So a judge can't turn around and say, oh, I'm sorry, but I don't believe you were overtaken by the devil, because of what's on every court in the land, especially in America, in God we trust. So criminals think, oh, well, if I turn good, everyone believes in God in the justice system, therefore, you know, I can use this to my advantage to make them believe, because if they believe in God, when it says God they trust, they have to believe in the devil, right? So that's their defense. So all this craziness and the alcohol addiction, the drugs abuse, is all to do with the fact that he's trying to make people think that he's a lunatic. Right? He's trying to make people believe he's having a nervous breakdown. So when it comes out, if he did do it, he could say this. Well, I knew that CPS was coming to take Summer away. I knew that I couldn't live without her, because she's the only one in my life that changed my life and made me become a better human being. She's the young lady who came into my life and made me a better person and a better man. Right? Which is a crock, because we all know Summer's 5 years old. If he'd really changed, you know, the house would be built better. The environment would be better for the kids. It's not about stuff. It's about environment. Why would you put your kid on the floor on a double mattress? You're a 9-year-old. You just wouldn't. Right? So, and why is their bedroom tidy? And why have they got the big TV in their bedroom, but yet the kids have got tiny TVs to play on their game system and that? Everyone knows that you put the biggest TV you've got in the main room for everybody, and then the littlest TVs go in the bedrooms, right? That's the normal way of doing things. So, Don could say this. Yes, I'm an alcoholic. Yes, I'm religious. I'm this, I'm that, and the other. I'm so messed up. My mind's so messed up that I panicked because CPS was coming. So I told my wife to get painkillers from somewhere. The only way they could get painkillers free is if they went down to our ER and got some painkillers for a knee. Right? Because nothing's stopping the mother-in-law pretending that she's got pain in her knee. Because you can't measure pain. Only by your blood pressure and stuff like that. But some people's blood pressure stays the same whether they're in pain or not, like mine. Or we go lower. So The doctors would just have to accept the fact so she could get more painkillers. Or different painkillers. Right? And it won't be registered in A&E in time. Sedated Summer. Don has come home at 5:30 when they've turned up. Summer was sleeping because she had already been sedated with that drink next to her. That's why Candice said, oh, that was for my mum. Her mum had a twisted tea, her mum had a slushie, and her mum had that drink as well. And yet Summer's only had one drink all day and the boys have had none. That doesn't make sense. So that drink might have had a sleeping medicine in it or something like that to knock her out. That would explain a lot more why the cold milk didn't wake her up. She could have slipped down. They put her in a position where she always sleeps, and she could have slipped down because she was so sedated that her body was just very loose. Because her hands and her face and that looks really like she's not dreaming. She does look sedated. And then took her across the shed. It's only there. And no one would have seen because it was all thick brush. Took her across his shed. Took her down the stairs into there. Shut her down. Put a mattress down there and stuff. Shut it down. Put all tools and that on top. Shut that down. Got back in his car. Come out because there's no cameras. He could have borrowed, you'd have to talk to his workmates, but he could have borrowed someone else's car or truck or van and said, look, I'm only going up the road to do someone a quick job to check to see if we've got another job. Is there any chance you guys can borrow me your car because I don't want to take the Subaru because it's a gas guzzler. It takes too much petrol or diesel or whatever it is. So he says that anyone got a small car can just pop up. And I don't want them to think we're rich and say, oh, and then we overcharge him. So if he might have took a work van that someone was using to come up and round. Yeah, so instead of him going to see someone, you'd have to talk to the workers and say, did Don leave for dinner? Did Don borrow a car? Did Don leave his phone here? Because he could have phoned that time that H was in the car to ask her where they were. What time would they be home? For that reason. So he could get up there first, wait in there. Because Candice said, if you listen to Candice's interview, she said, where the water was, I said to Hunter, no, you're going home. So obviously Hunter said, can I come up to yours? And she said, no, you're going home because we've got things to do. What things? As far as she was just going to go up there and plant some plants. And someone went whistling. So why didn't they want... It was almost like they were telling H to say goodbye to Summer. Sort of thing. Because they were probably... They're also known for doing a runner. Right? So what if they were going to hide Summer? The boys get taken off them. They say she's missing everything. And then they say, look, we can't stay where we are because we're not safe. People are threatening us. And then they take Summer and they go and hide. Because all he was interested in was Summer. That's all. He said that himself. He admits it. When Candice had Summer, she said she didn't want a baby girl. And her mum was going to adopt. Candice's mum was going to adopt Summer. But he stopped it and went, no, I wanted a baby girl and I got one. So you imagine what his oldest daughter in her 30s would think when he's fighting for a young girl, but yet he didn't bring his daughter up properly. He wasn't a dad to her. We'll come to the kids' jealousies in other episodes. But this episode is about Don, right? And why I think Don could have done what he's done. So what I think Don's done is, because they're not smart people, they could have put Summer in there, locked up, but there's not enough oxygen or air right? And then, because they then, Don left, went round the corner, phoned Candice up when he got back to work, got in his car, phoned Candice up and said, phone the police. So then Candice dropped the phone and went right and ran to phone the police. Because not being funny, you wouldn't want to phone your husband first. You would phone the police. Or you would run to your mum and say, Mum, quick, phone the police, someone's missing. But you'd let your mum phone the police while you phoned your husband, or you would phone the police first and get your mum to phone your husband. You wouldn't directly think, I'm phoning my husband. You'd phone the police first, then your husband. Yes, do you agree? This is Guardian. Do you agree with that? Do you agree that she should have phoned the police first, not her husband? He's having a right go at me today. I don't know what's wrong with him. Right? So I think it's because he's getting his chicken delivered. Oh, sorry, his fish. We have to put fish skin on the chicken because he needs to eat meat. In a minute. Watch this. He wants to go out again. He wants to go shopping. Guardian, what do you want? Guardian, what do you want? You want to go out, Mummy? But you can't go out. There's COVID out there. We're only allowed to go out in the morning and in the night. Come here a minute. Come here and tell the people what you want. What do you want? He says, I want to go out, Mum. You'll hear him in a minute. He'll start arguing with me. So anyway. So 88%. One, Don wants, he's manipulating everybody, thinking the only people who believe him are churchgoers. The only people who believe him about being attacked and the devil, he blames the devil for everything, because what I reckon happened was they left Summer, they overdosed her by accident because she was exhausted. As far as we're aware, she had nothing to eat all day. She was up early. And if you give someone medication, especially sleepers or painkillers, with no food, everyone knows what happens. You become unconscious. It affects you differently. And was that twisted tea 4H? Was it for the grandma? Was it for the baby? To disguise painkillers because they taste disgusting when they're crushed. Because I can't take painkillers. I can't take tablets, so I have to crush mine. And trust me, it's disgusting. The taste is disgusting. Right? So, this is my theory. Don phoned Candice and said, what time are you going to be home? She said, we're going to do a few things, but we should be home soon. Don's gone, right. Candice has got the drink and said to Summer, would you like a drink, Summer? Yes, please, Mummy. Here you go. Put the tablets, because don't forget, they've got the tablets in the car with them. They picked up the prescription. And although a lot of people are saying Hunter is lying, Hunter's not lying, because I'm going to prove that in the video, in the Chris interview, Hunter's mum nods at Hunter to say, like, get ready, yes, that's the one, yep. So she used a lot of nodding and a lot of looking up and down with the eyes, which I'll show you. If you look, you'll see it yourself. When he turns round and says, he's always ask her, see what she wants. Isn't it, Mum? Wasn't it, Mum? And they have to not get their story straight, because then it looks suspicious. But if they're both in odds, it won't look as suspicious that they've been prepping Hunter. And I'll explain that in the other video of Alison. Right? So 88%, the reason why I believe it was Don was because he pushes the fact of this kidnapping. He tries to manipulate people into believing his way of thinking. It would have been easier to say that an animal might have done a harm or she stood with her bare feet on a snake and she's probably lying there, or he would do something with the church. Because unfortunately, religion, church and abuse goes all together, unfortunately. Right? Because that's where they hide. Okay, they hide in the church. These people hide behind religion. That's the point. Because especially in America, they swear on the Holy Bible. They have a thing at the back of them, in God we trust. Do you see what I'm saying? So they can't say, well, we don't believe you were, we don't believe that you've been taken over by the devil or demons or whatever. And they say, but at the back of you go, you trust in God. You get the Bible out for people to swear on the Bible that they swear the truth. So help you God. Do you see what I'm saying? So a lot of criminals see religion as a thing to hide against, unfortunately. And those pure people that really do believe in their religion, really do believe, get the stigma of what these people do. And it's disgusting. I appreciate everybody's belief. As long as their belief doesn't harm others and they don't push it on others, your belief is your belief. Your thoughts are your thoughts. And every single one of them should be appreciated. Right? As long as you don't manipulate people into believing what you believe. If somebody says, I don't believe it, then you've got to respect that they don't believe it. Some people don't believe in mediums. Okay, and that there is life after death and that. But that we should respect that. Because that's their position in life. Doesn't make them any different human being. It makes them the same human being with, something else to follow. But everyone has a moral compass. Once that moral compass is broke, that's when you get into trouble. And Don's moral compass was way broken from when he was young. So he also tries to blame his parents' breakup when, yes, it is hard on kids' divorce. But it still doesn't make you become an enemy. And unfortunately, because 99.99999% of people who have been survivors of childhood trauma, they grow up, have kids, get a good job, live life, become good citizens. There's no record of that. The only time you get records is if you break the law or you do something horrific. Do you see what I'm saying? And 99.99999% of people don't go on to doing none of this. In fact, it's the opposite. But you get that little tiny percent who hide behind religion. And it's not fair. I'm not, like I said, I'm not religious in the way, church going and that. But it's not fair on people who are good Christians, are good Catholics, are good people who help, who do things, and then they're stigmatized by, oh, you're from the church. Oh, God, well, we all know what you're doing then. We all know who yous are then. It's not right nor fair. Because I've met the most kindest, gentlest people, and I've met the most evilest people in them environments. Do you see what I mean? And to be honest with you, if you go to court, there's 3 things you should keep out. Childhood, religion, and what people have gone through. They should be charged of who and what and where they are right now, what they did. That's it. They shouldn't bring in their childhood and that to try and make people's empathy. It's ridiculous. Because then it puts people in positions where they can say, well, because his childhood, let's only give him a few years. That's an excuse. Because if you've been abused as a child, you know it's wrong. You know what it feels like. You don't want to make another human feel that way. So anyway, off to preaching. So he's gone in there. He shut the door. Then what they didn't realise is how big this exploded and how quick it's exploded. Because he has a temper. He's also controlling. So he thinks he can control this because in his world, he convinces anybody and anyone. In his world, everyone believes him. In his world, he's his God. In his world, everyone fears him. So he believes that the whole world thinks like that because the church does. Right? The people in the church, he thinks they believe him and they trust in him and all that crap, right? So in his ideal world, everyone believes him. So this is going to be easy to convince the police, the CPS, and anyone else who gets involved, detectives or that she's been kidnapped, been taken over to Mexico, never going to be found. They give up and they say, we have to move out, we have to sell the property and move out. And they take Summer and them and disappear with the money from the property. But comes big mistakes when you're working with individuals who don't understand about drugs and weight, don't understand about real life, are delusional in their little world. Because if they believe they give their children proper love, they're delusional people. Right? So he could have borrowed the car of somebody at work. Said, I'm going to go do a estimate or something like that. The guy that he sacked, the police have got to go on. He could have left his phone in the car at work. So that way he wouldn't be traced. He could have come up with a work van, picked Summer up, when Candice was taking everything, she said her mum had gone into the caravan, right? And she said, I went in to get the boys. So the boys might not have saw Summer or saw Summer asleep. And she's gone, take them in so they can keep the boys busy. So then Don's come up behind, about 5:30, come up behind, took Summer out, took her straight down the shed, put her in. No one's going to notice what's happening. Because the boys will be busy putting the shopping and looking in the shopping because they're starving. The grandmother's in her caravan waiting for the shopping. So she's opening up, getting the heat out, opening the windows and stuff. So the only one would know would be Candice and Don. Would know what was happening. Gone and took Summer out the car. He's gone down to the shed, opened the shed door, gone downstairs, put the makeshift, what he's done there. He's done here, the makeshift thing, and then shut it and put everything on top. What they weren't expecting was once Don was going back home and then got into his car, phoned either... See, the police are going to find out either did they figure out, because if we can figure out the time span between Don's work and home, did she figure out when and then gave Don a ring and said, I can't find Summer, because it could be planned. And or did Don ring her and say, right, it's done? Did Don text her? Was it Don who texted her and said it's done? So then Candice phoned Don up and said, I can't find Summer. And he said, go call the police. And why did he have to call the police? Why didn't he stay at home, like just get in the car and drive? The reason being is he had to phone the police where he was so the police could pick up where he was so he can't get blamed for the kidnapping of Summer. He's away from it all, isn't he? He's in no, look, I was at work. There's my phone. Take my phone. Look, it's right here. It's always been here in the car. It was here. I was here all day because the phone hasn't moved. No, your phone hasn't moved. Your car hasn't moved, but you have. So he needed to phone the police as well to make sure that his phone was registered, that he was there at 6:30. So there's no way, if he was there all day since 7 o'clock, there was no way he could get up, do what he needs to do and get back according to his world. Don's world. He could convince the cops he was always there because he could then say, well, I picked up the phone and it was my wife and she said, I can't find Summer. And I said, go phone the police. So she threw the phone down, ran over to her mum's phone, phoned 911. And then, well, why did you phone 911? Why didn't you get in your car and run? up. You wouldn't. Why would you phone 911 as well? Why would you do it? Your wife's already doing it. You've just told her to do it. Seconds. The only way you would phone that is so you could be registered that you were talking on the phone as well at the same time as Candice, so they could say where you were. And you would only do that if you were guilty and you really wanted to convince the police that you haven't moved from that area, that spot. So all eyes can be off the dad that has all this. The dad that has the alcohol. The dad that has the manipulation. The dad that has the hitting. The dad that takes the drugs. The abuser. The religious nut. It's the childhood home, so he would know. He was at work. Controlling the money. His temper. And push it to strangers. Cars and stuff like that, and maybe a sacked worker. Maybe one of his kids, his daughter, got jealous. But remember, if CPS comes and takes the children away, he loses Summer. So what if he was so desperate not to lose Summer that he did that? Now, through the next videos, we will be talking about each and every single one of these people, including Don's daughter and son, and the elder ones, where were they? And Candice's daughter and son, and where were they at the time? But this is why I only think it's 88%, because I think he was the one that probably took Summer to hide her because he didn't want CPS to take her away, because he made it very clear, the visual. He said it himself. I couldn't live without Summer. My mind is going crazy. Summer, apart from God, is the only other person that loves me unconditionally. I'm struggling really bad without Summer. I'm missing my daughter. I'm missing that young lady. I can't function without her. They're his words. Listen, if you go, you'll listen to his words. Very clear. In fact, I'll see if I can find. Ouch, I'll see if I can find it and show you it. Let me see if I can find it. Right, guys, I'm just looking for it. Is that at the prayer circle? Or is that Candy's bit?
You on the day of judgment when we stand before Jesus, none of these people that are saying whatever they're saying, they're going to be standing there holding your hand saying, no, it wasn't him, it was me. That's not going to happen. You need to please this Jesus.
Amen.
To answer to this Jesus. Right.
It's hard to see that.
It's easier.
Right.
This is why Don is being who he is, because these people in the church are giving him the power and the strength to believe. Let's see. Here it is. To believe that he's like a godlike and he's fine and nobody else believes that you've been taken over. But listen to what he says about the devil and that. Listen to how he separates himself, because if he accidentally smothered or kept her in too long, because don't forget, once everything started, like the police coming up, people hunting, when did he be able to go in and feed her and give her some water? Plus she's had nothing to eat all day, plus she's hardly had anything to drink, and she would have been sedated, so she would have been really thirsty. Just put that in mind, okay? Here, listen, guys. Obviously, there's going to be advertisements, of course. Okay, guys, here we go. Listen.
And I feel totally lost without my daughter. She loved me unconditionally. She loved me more than nobody has loved me like my daughter has, except for God himself.
Depression, leave in the name of Jesus. Anxiety, leave in the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus, they do not belong here. They do not belong here in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name, Father God, Lord. Yes, Father God. Lord, you are moving, God. We can feel your presence, God. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Yes.
Welcome to Jay.
So this is Jay for Justice Podcast. So go and watch it. Yeah, subscribe. They're really good. But listen to this, guys. Listen carefully, okay? I'm going to put it up so you can listen to it. Listen to what he says. Do you remember what I've put on here? He's religion, me and I, all the time, right? And what did I tell you? Part of the church. They could be enabling him to do what he needs to do. So are you ready?
I want to thank y'all, and I just pray, I hope y'all keep us in our prayers, because we are, I'm really under.
I. Somebody count how many times this guy says I, me.
Attack right now, big time. Satan. I mean, I feel like Satan took my baby. I feel like I was getting close. Satan owned me years ago, and since I've turned my heart to God and been trying to change my life, it's like Satan's had me under attack.
Amen.
So,
Now, this is a guy who apparently can't function, but yet still goes to work every day. And people might think it's admirable, but if you couldn't function, you wouldn't. You would take time off work so you could find your daughter. You would be out campaigning around airports, and so you wouldn't be sitting still. You'd be running around airport. If you think your daughter was kidnapped, if you think she's on the way to Mexico, he was there for 6:30. No way could he have taken her to Mexico at 6:30 to 7 o'clock. He could have rushed, said sod yous, rushed straight down to areas where he thinks, talk to people, pay people, do whatever you have to do to get hold of your child, instead of sitting there bitching about it, because he doesn't believe it. That's why they're not putting out flyers and stuff. They're not wasting their time, because that's the way they look at it. They're wasting their time.
many ways, now I believe he's got my baby. Of course, he's responsible for all evilness. So of course, it's him. And I feel totally lost without my daughter.
Right? So he feels totally lost without his daughter. Everything is the devil's fault. Everything is his fault. It doesn't matter that you've got full control of what you're doing in your thinking. It's the devil's fault. Any bad behaviour, any bad that happens. Now, apparently the devil's come up and took her because he thinks he's God. And obviously, because he's God, the devil's took her because it's all about him. This is what I mean by him and Candice. Why am I being punished? Why is God punishing me? Why is the devil punishing me by taking my daughter, the only one I care about? He's got 6 kids. He's got 2 daughters. Can you imagine how much hurt that sounds like to his other daughter? His older daughter. Keep listening. I, me, I, devil, blame.
She loved me unconditionally. She loved me more than nobody has loved me like my daughter has, except for God himself. And so I'm really lost. And now all these people are attacking.
All these people are attacking me. Why are they attacking me? Look, mate, write down what you've actually done in your life. This explains to you why people are attacking you. Your behaviour. This explains why people are attacking you. Because of what you're doing to your children, what you're doing to your wife, how you control everything.
You know, I don't understand that. You know, in my deepest, darkest moment, everybody, you know, not everybody, but...
My deepest, darkest moment? Are you kidding me? Your child could be taken by, according to Don, your child is being taken by child traffickers, and we all know what they do. But his darkest day. What about your child's darkest day? What about your child's, what she's going through? Every parent I know that has been innocent to their child going missing, every parent I know, right, turn around, the first thing they say is, oh my God, I just can't even think about what they're going to do to my baby. I hope they don't do nothing bad to my baby. I hope my baby's okay. But not him. Just keep listening, guys. You should the whole thing. Ready? I can't wait till I get my capture card set up.
People are attacking us. It's real tough. So I thank you for your prayers and everything, and I just pray that God will bring Summer back. That would answer a lot of questions. That would help us.
So let me get this straight, right? For you religious people out there, let me get this straight. So you reckon that the devil can come up, pick up your child, make her disappear, which God will allow, an innocent child, right? This is according to Dom, remember? And then it's up to God to then fight the devil to get your child back. So you don't have to do nothing. You can just sit on your arse, put your hands together and keep praying, and that's enough. Okay, look, I know I'm autistic and everything, but guys, write down below, am I just because I'm autistic I don't understand this? Or is this true? Do they, religious people, really believe that a devil could come or a demon could come, pick up your child, run off with her, and then God come down and rescue, and all you have to do is sit and pray and go to work and come back home and drink and take drugs? That's all you have to do. And you get your kid back. See what I'm saying? He's pretending to be crazy. Guys, there's nothing wrong with him. He goes to work every day. What person has just lost the only thing that matters to him in his life, according to him, that means anything? Would you still go to work? Why would you still go to work? You wouldn't be able to function. Oh. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. He's just getting me so angry. And I'm too far away to do anything about it. And if you go, well, what would you do? Well, I'd meet him.
I'm on the edge of ruin right now because of the things people are saying. But...
Remember what he just said there? I'm nearly at the edge of ruin.
That's what I had to do. Yeah. Okay, I have to obey God, so. Yeah. But even though people are coming against you, and bad things are being said about you don't have to worry about any of that.
Right.
Because you know the truth, God knows the truth.
Right.
You, on the day of judgment, when you stand before Jesus, none of these people that are saying whatever they're saying are going to be standing there holding your hand saying, no, it wasn't him, it was me. It's not going to happen like that. So don't. And I know it's easier said than done because it hurts.
Yeah, it is.
But just remember, the only one that you need to please is Jesus. The answer to is Jesus. And,
it's hard to see that.
It's easier said than done. Absolutely. Because the closer you get to God, the more the devil's going to try to attack you.
Guys, two questions. If someone doesn't believe in heaven, God, and all that lot, right? Someone doesn't believe in heaven, God, all that lot, but yet is a good person who goes through life helping people, donating and doing charities, but they believe that's it. Once you're dead, you're dead. Or a person who does exactly the same as that person does, who doesn't believe, but believes in God. In my eyes, God would choose the person who didn't believe. But in their eyes, they're saying you have to believe in God to get to heaven. That's not true. Because how would God know, or any God know, that you're doing it because out of fear? That's not how God works. God works out of love, not fear. The devil works out of fear. Demons work from fear. They feed off fear. That's the point. Right? But it's love. Whether you call it the light, God, whatever you want to call it. Right? It's not fear. So if someone's scared to do something wrong because they don't want to go to hell, they want to go to heaven, and they do it for that reason and that reason only, then that's not their true self. But the person who doesn't believe in anything after life and they're just doing it because their heart is pure, aren't they more likely to go to heaven and more likely to be accepted by the spirit world or God or anything else? Isn't it about the purity of love? Somebody helping somebody up when they're down just because who they are, not what they believe is going to happen, their reward. Because if you marry someone and you go and buy them flowers, if you buy them flowers out because you just love them and it's not their birthday and it's not nothing special, you just thought about them at the time and wanted to make them smile, wouldn't that be true love? And then if you gave someone flowers because you slept with someone else or something like that, they wouldn't mean the same, would they? So that's the way I see it. If you're religious and you're just scared to do anything wrong because you want to go to heaven, not hell, then more than likely the people who don't believe in all that, who still do good, who do it because they are good, will more likely go to heaven, right? That's just my thinking. Sorry. I like watching this bit. Sorry. I was just thinking that.
Just keep the faith, keep praying, keep going forward.
Stay on track.
Yeah, and every time something upsets you, whether it has to do with someone
Right, sorry, guys. I know. Switch me off if you want. I'm mumbling. But can I ask you guys a question? Does this church know that Donald beats his wife up? Does this church know that he still does it up to a couple of weeks ago? Does he know that an old lady, his mother-in-law, an old lady was pushed down because she was trying to save her daughter being beaten up by this guy, and he damaged her knee that she just got operated on? If they know all this, wouldn't you be more cautious of the person you're with? Wouldn't you watch out for the children more? Wouldn't you protect the mother more because she's the weaker one? I'm not understanding. Are they just accepting, it doesn't matter what you've done, we still love you, we know the truth? Well, if you know the truth, why aren't you going to the police and telling the police who did it? That lady said she knows the truth. Well, who did it then? Where is she? Go get her. If you know the truth, go get her. Go find, where's the baby? We don't want her out in the cold alone. We don't want her being alone. Bring her back so she can be buried properly, so everybody could make her feel better, so she can come away from her body and then not be alone no more and have to go back and back and back in that situation. She can move forward. She can't do that until we find her body. I've told in other videos that my theory, it's only my thoughts and theories, that your body stays and it keeps getting pulled back. Until your body is buried and it's an old and all that lot, you're pulled back into that situation. So she's lost cold and alone and hurt her body. She has to be pulled back and live through that constantly. So if this lady or any of the church members know where Summer is, then go get her. So she's not alone anymore. Because that's what's bugging a lot of people. She's by herself alone. She's a baby. So if they know the truth, why aren't they finding her? Why aren't they getting her? I don't understand. They're saying, she's just said, I know the truth. Well, if you know the truth, where is she? Stop her being alone. Go get her. The real truth is you know nothing. But this is what church do. And this is what gives church people bad names. Is these type of people. Keep watching. And if you want to unsubscribe, unsubscribe. I'm not going to hide my words. I'm sorry, but I'm not.
in your life, hold on a minute. I belong to God, and just say, Lord, help me, devil, get behind me.
Yeah, it's become everything, well, everything but anyway.
Look how pleased he is. Look how pleased his face, his demeanour changes from this horrified, horrific father who's just lost his child, who's lost and by himself. Look at his face. because someone actually believes him. Someone is in control of another human being. She's feeding his perverted ego, in my opinion. She really is. They all are. And I get it. Oh, but the church is supporting the family. I get that. You can support someone without licking their asses. Look how good he feels because somebody is standing in front of him, licking his ass and making him feel better about himself. And if you don't like that, then unsubscribe. I'm not bothered. I'm not doing this for money or anything. Your subscriptions, by the way, talking of that, if you'd like to subscribe to our channel and become Mystery Angels, then you're more than welcome to. If you want to be part of this channel and you want to build the channel, got any advice, any ideas, please come forward. If you want to be a director of the channel or you want to be one of the angels that go around and have podcasts and become with me on my podcasts and in the Angel podcast, you're more than welcome. Please like, share, subscribe, and or dislike. I don't mind you having your own opinions. I don't mind you dislike and like. And also, I don't mind if you put in the comments what you feel is wrong, what you feel's right, what you feel it could be. I value everybody's opinion and thoughts, and so does this channel and everyone in it. Your opinion is not what's going to get you kicked or blocked. The only time you will get blocked is if you disrespect someone else's opinion, or you disrespect people in general, or you're trolling or anything like that for your own personal sakes. It's the only time. Just be yourself. Be normal. Listen, if you want facts, there's plenty of channels out there that are too frightened that will do facts. Please go to them channels. You're more than welcome. All I want here is theories, is mystery. It's a mystery. It's a theory. People's thought process, where it's like a bud where we bounce off each other, and people's ideas like a jigsaw puzzle, and all together as the angel group, as Mystery Angels, we will put the jigsaw puzzle and have the picture at the end. And we won't stop until that happens. So when everyone else has given up, and if Summer still isn't found, we won't give up. Then we will start, and we will start doing our own investigation. And the people who are in my group, who are in Angels, a Mystery Angels group, any one of us can become an angel, and then we'll start looking, and we won't stop. We'll find the truth. So everyone's opinions, everyone's thoughts, whether you agree, agree on some, disagree on another, it's up to you. You just say it with decorum, and you're kind to everybody else, and respect everybody else's thought process as well. Not just your own, but everybody else's. And not push anything onto someone else. Just say your feelings, your thoughts, and what you think. And if people agree with you, they'll put the thumbs up. They'll talk to you. They'll agree with you. If they don't, they don't. But it's okay, because that's their opinion. If you don't agree with anything I say, that's okay. As long as you're not nasty, disagree. You won't get kicked out for disagreeing. The only time you get kicked out is if you're being nasty or pushing yourself or your beliefs onto someone else in the group. That's not fair. Everybody has their own opinions and thoughts, and these are my thoughts. You can do your thoughts. Send me videos. I'm going to set up a Discord where you can put all your thoughts and boards on and stuff like that. Once this channel gets up and running. Once we've done a few more lives, I'll be inviting people on to talk. We'll be doing Skype and stuff like that. So if you're interested, let me know. So let's finish this off.
I thought your sign language was a beautiful thing.
Oh, praise the Lord. Thank you. Praise the Lord. There was a message in that, and I hope everybody received the message in that. But definitely keep going forward, keep moving forward. Try not to let what other people say, regardless of what it is, get to you, because it's the enemy doing this.
I know.
And the closer you get to God, the more the enemy's going to try to come against you. But when you're a child of God, you can just say, devil, get behind me.
Yes, that's right.
Right, I can more of that. You can carry on watching it. go to Jace for Justice podcast, right? So that's my theory on how it could have been done with Don. I'm 88% at this moment in time on the 4th of August 2021. I believe at this time it's 88% that Don had something to do with his daughter's disappearance. And I think he borrowed from work. He left his phone and his car at work. He drove back at 5:30, which is the truth. He took Summer, he hid her, so CPS, because they were out all day, CPS would have tried to knock or get on, and they couldn't because it was chained up, remember? So they couldn't get on the property, so they walked onto the property, dogs barking, they're knocking. They weren't allowed to open the door because they took the keys. So that means they locked the children in, so if there was a fire, how dangerous is that? Right. So they would have to run down them small stairs to get out through the back door, right? Unless it was locked by key, and then they're buggered. But think about that. Don's taken her in. She's not eaten all day. She's just drunk a little bit and had some sweets. They've either overdosed her by accident too much on the medication, the painkillers or whatever to make her sleep. Or they took too long with the people being around there, a day or two, and she was thirsty and hungry and stuff, and she succumbed to her environment. And this is why Don's blaming the devil and that, so he can say, it wasn't me, I didn't mean to do it. Maybe that's why he's feeling guilt. But I can't understand how a narcissist could feel guilt. If it's I, me, all the time, devil, God, he's taking responsibility off himself. If I go and slap someone, it's because I go and slap someone, not because somebody made me do it. Do you see what I'm saying? You couldn't even trip me to hurt someone. Sorry, but you couldn't. You could trip me into getting, like, holding weed in it, you know, taking something in a bag or something like that, delivering something, or a postman saying, hey, Chip, can you post this? And I go, yeah, and it's got weed in or something. Yeah, you could trick someone like that, but not to hit someone. No, you couldn't. Because even a 5-year-old knows that's wrong. And she does play hide and seek a lot, according to Don. He played hide and seek with her quite a lot. So this could have been a game for Summer. That's turned tragically wrong. But it's either he's either in the shed underground, or she's in one of these, either in the deep well on the neighbour's abandoned property, or in a shed somewhere. Well, that's what I reckon, and that's my theory on Don. The next video I'll be doing will be of Candice and my theory on that. Please, guys, don't forget to leave notifications for the next video. Like, share, subscribe, and please leave your comments down below. Good. Put either a thumbs up or thumbs down. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want. It's your choice. Your feelings, your thoughts are just as important as anyone else's. There is no need for you to have evidence. It's just your thought process, what you think and why you think. Okay? So, if a lot of you believe that it's 88%, then put that in. If you believe it's more, then put what percent you think Don is at with what I've just given you. And I'll catch you in the wild crocodile. Okay? Please stay safe. Please love your family. Love your children. And cherish them every day. And cherish yourselves every day. Because we're all important in this world. Catch you in the wild crocodile.